Bow down into position against the polished steel. This is something different. You'll like the way this feels. No time for asking questions, no time for wondering. We've had enough of you now. You've heard everything. You want to play a new game. You put on this blindfold. You do just what we tell you to. You do just as you're told. Used to be the leader, now comes the time to serve. Maybe we'll show some mercy, yeah, but maybe you get what you deserve. Count down to the end. You gotta make it come fast.
Okay. Here you go. Hello everybody on YouTube. I really am excited to be making this video because it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time. I am so happy to be joining the ridiculous number of voices that have come out in the past few years on the internet to offer support to former Jehovah's Witnesses and those that are considering leaving and need to know that life continues on after you leave the organization and that it's not completely hopeless. So I am adding myself to the growing list of apostates on YouTube, and that's scary and I'm happy at the same time. Before I go any further, I would like to say that everything that is in my videos is my personal opinion only, and a lot of it is going to come from my personal experiences growing up as a witness. I left when I was 13 years old, and I was unbaptized, and because of that, I consider myself extremely lucky. I was able to leave the organization without being shunned completely by my family. In fact, my family treated me fairly well afterwards, and I'm so grateful for that. That said, I lost all my friends, and it was really difficult to deal with that at the age of 13. There were a million other things that I experienced growing up that I do want to share in my videos. I do want to do a couple of things here first. I want to address any family members that may view my video, because I am planning on telling them if any active family members view my videos, they need to understand why I'm doing this, and I understand that it may change our relationship, and that being, be that as it may, they need to understand the reasons. So I have a thing that I wrote for my family, a disclaimer, so I'm going to read that right now for them. If someday my family members see this video, I want them to know that my intention is not to alienate myself from them, and it is not to drive a wedge between myself and my family members. I believe any of my witness family members would agree with me that at the time of my exit 17 years ago, there was an abrupt change in our relationship. I do not place any blame on any family member, including myself, for these changes. I believe the blame lies solely in the source of information that influenced the changes in behavior among us. I hope that we would both be able to admit that there were behavior changes by all parties after my exit. Above all, I understand the reasons behind your behavior and your emotions. I understand why you raised me the way you did, and why you tried to convince me not to leave. I appreciate the fact that you continued to show me love despite the fact that your heart was breaking. I'm here to tell you that it is my first belief that your heart was breaking for false reasons. These reasons were created by an organization that you trust, but that has not been honest and forthright in their sharing of information or in revealing their intentions nor their actions. I love you very much, and I understand that in making this video you may feel the need to limit your association with me. I understand this feeling because I am aware of what the organization instructs you to do in these situations. I have appreciated your willingness to go against the norm with regards to shunning disfellowship family members other than me, because there are some that many of you still associate with, and I think that that is amazing in and of itself. I also understand that since I was never baptized, I am not held to the same standards as someone who has been baptized. I am very grateful that I was never baptized as a witness. It allowed me to continue to have contact with my family, and it also made the transition out less traumatic. That said, it was still extremely traumatic, and I plan on explaining what my experience was like and how I wish it had been different. Because it is impossible to change the past, my hope in explaining how my childhood affected me is to educate others on the negative consequences it had and on how these can be avoided with children in the future. For anyone who has watched this far, I want to thank you for your ability to keep your mind open and put aside the warnings the society has told you about avoiding apostate information on the internet. I also want to give you my own warning. Watching this video and listening further will have consequences for you. The first consequence is you will learn truths about my personal experience and about the organization as a whole that you will not be able to unlearn. Your mind will forever retain the information somewhere in the stores of your memory, even if you push it away. You will not be able to forget that you learned this information. The only way that you will be able to remain the same afterwards is by denying what you have experienced with your own eyes and ears. So if this bothers you, stop watching. I hope that you know that if there is actual truth in information, no matter what source it comes from, it'll stand up to any scrutiny. If you believe that the doctrines of the Watchtower organization are true, then anything that you view on the internet or read in a book or read in the media is not going to be able to stop you from believing it, unless the information that you are believing in is false. Real truth stands up to any scrutiny. And that's one of the things that I think is most important and so amazing about the movement and all of the former witnesses that have come out in various forms of media and, let the world know, hey, we're here. This stuff happened and it's real. And this is what it was like for us. And we want other people to know before they make a decision that they'll regret in the future. I've talked to many people who, had they known, the ones that weren't born into the religion, had they known what they were getting into when they started studying, they never would have continued studying. And that's part of the controlling of information that the organization practices that makes it harmful. If you can't be upfront about what you are selling people from day one, then you're practicing a form of mind control. And it's extremely damaging to people who are exposed and indoctrinated into this high control group. Some people consider it a cult. I'm among that, but